Joe Rogan is about to find out why some people live and some people die with Mike Glover. It's something called the 10-80-10 rule. This is episode 1931 with Mike Glover. We're sitting at 35 minutes, 58 seconds. I'm Coach Colin, coolest high performance coach in the world. And if you want the absolute best insights to the podcasts and videos you love, hit that subscribe button. And if you watch till the end, I am actually going to take this 10-80-10 rule and I'm going to apply it to our direct lives because I think there's something in there that we can all learn from. Let's get into it.
One of the first things that I did was I read a book called Survival Psychology by John Leach, which talked about the reason people live and the reason people die. And I was super interested. Limited information out there on survival psychology, by the way. John Leach described the reason people live and people die, and the sum up was a formula he called 10-80-10. Have you ever heard 10-80-10?
No.
So 10-80-10 is the demographic of people broken down by percentage in population of all the case studies he did of catastrophes, ships sinking, massive fires, all kinds of shit. And he determined that 10% of the population of most disasters survive. And the reason they survive is because they make rapid decisions, they adapt in real time, and they come from lines of work where that's necessary. The military, law enforcement, teachers, people who are cognitive under stress in the moment and make the right decision. 80% of the population is broken down about 50-50. They're guys who have good intent, they make the decision, but on a second floor fire, they'd run to the third floor, they jump out and they fall on their fucking head, right? They had a plan, but it just didn't work out for them. And then the bottom 10% is the bottom of the barrel, where 10% of every catastrophe, people are just gonna fucking die. They're just gonna do something, they're gonna jump off the boat when the boat's sinking, not realizing or forgetting they can't swim. And they hand out life preservers to everybody else but themselves. They jump in the water and they fucking drown. So when I assessed this, I started looking at psychology, statistical probability, and I realized I needed to create something in the preparedness world that was realistic. Because a lot of guys, they talk about things in, the apocalypse, the worst case scenario. What I wanted to do is kind of sum it up to a question I had, and this was my business kind of hypothesis. Why do special operators go out and do the most dangerous missions in the world and survive? Like if you took me and my team in 2007 under Task Force 16, we were working with JSOC. So you got 22 SAS British operators, you got SEAL Team 6, you got the unit, you got Ranger Regiment, you got the Commanders in Extremist Force, which I was a member of. They're going out every night with good intelligence of Al-Qaeda and crushing dudes. In that trip, we lost a couple SAS guys. So the British commander came out and gave this go to war speech. We all had our kit on. And in that moment, we thought we were going to get like a memorial speech. Like, hey man, we lost these guys. It wasn't that. It was a go to war speech. It was like, people die in combat. This shit happens. Get your kit on, let's go out and kill everybody. And I'm like, holy shit. And so we would go out every night and prosecute targets with like 99.9% success rate of not having casualties on target. So the question would be, well, how can we do that? Most people think being in special operations is a dangerous job. It's actually not. So being a cook in 101st Airborne Division, and you're told to get on a 50 cal and go down a main supply route because we don't have anybody else, that's a dangerous job. But when you plan for things to go wrong and contingencies, when you're fit, because that's part of your culture, when you fight, that's part of your culture, when you look at the equipment and you pay attention to all these things that matter, it's a lifestyle. So if people want to be better prepared, I came to the understanding that they have to live the lifestyle. This shit can't be a hobby. We were talking about like new guys getting guns before. If a new guy gets a gun and they think that gun is going to solve their problems, if they go out and get a go bag with all the cool shit because they buy it off the shelf at REI and throw it in the trunk of their car, but they haven't integrated it into their lives, trained it, used it in education, taught it to their kids, then it's a tool that's not likely going to be utilized. So we needed to redefine that culture. We needed to create it from fucking scratch is what we did.
There's so many things to that. So when I hear what this guy's talking about, I don't hear special forces. I hear successful people. So it's like, why are these guys not have a success rate of 99.9? And then he also said, they go in with this intel. And it's like, how do we apply what we just heard to our lives? Well, what I'm hearing right now is that what he was a part of a team that did a lot of planning. They were all like-minded. They moved together, but they had a lot of, again, intel towards targets. They had high success rates. Now, in your life or in anybody's life that you've seen, some people are successful and some people are not. What's the difference between those two people? The successful person usually has a lot of intel. They got a lot of information. They have a lot of skills. They make sure to surround themselves. With people who are like-minded, who are just as sharp, who have the same skills. And when they sit and plan together and they attack something, they tend to have a high success rate. Now, going back to that 80-10 or 10-80-10 rule, it's like, and some people don't survive. Some people, don't thrive, we'll even say, instead of survive. Some people don't thrive. Why? It's like, well, they don't have any intel, which is just information. They don't care to learn the information. They don't have the skills, again, because they don't care to learn the information. And they're not around like-minded people because they don't have an aim. These special forces guys have aims. They have direct aims. They have exactly what they want to do. They know exactly what they want to accomplish. They know when they want to accomplish it, and they go straight towards it. And by chance, obviously not, they're always successful. So it's like, what can you do in your life in order to apply what you just heard? Well, start planning more. Start surrounding yourself with people who have the skills that you need or have a like-minded attitude, like-minded goal, and start moving around with those people. Start staying around those people. How often do guys who are special forces active special forces stay around guys who are special forces? All the damn time. They stay together. They become like family. In the last video I made, they're like tribe. They're always together, always sharpening each other, always strategizing together. They become a team, right? Now, going back to the 10-80-10 rule, it's like there's 10% of the population that's just going to die. Now, let's take away die. Let's say thrive. They're just not going to thrive in life. There is 10% of the population that are going to thrive in life. And then there's 80% of the population that could go either way. Now, when you hear that, you hear it and you're like, well, I guess that 80%, it's like a toss-up, but it's not a toss-up. If you decide that you're going to get like these special forces guys, not exactly like them, I know, they're soldiers, they're a different breed, but if you're going to take on those characteristics of planning, adapting, making the right decisions, thinking things through, then you can move yourself from this 80% over to this 10%, right? And I do even believe that if you're in that 10% that's just not going to thrive, you can shift yourself. Just through awareness, you can shift yourself into that 80%. And now, as you learn the skills and you start surrounding yourself with the right people and you start doing the right things every single day, your habits are a big part of that. You can shift yourself into that 10% as well. Now, the thing is everybody going to do that? No. I mean, 50% of the people who were watching this video aren't even watching anymore. So those people definitely don't have a chance of learning anything like this from me right now. Obviously, they might move on in life and do things, but you know what I mean? It's like you got to learn those skills. Like there's so much to that. You don't have to just be, you don't have to just be a part of that 80% and just sit there and just let life be a toss up. Those, in my mind, those are people that are living in default mode, right? Default mode just means like you just go around and like whatever happens, happens. And you don't really think that you have any control over things. And it's like, oh, well, that person bumped into me. Oh, I bumped into this. Like you're not moving with purpose. You're not moving with thought. You're just default mode. NPC. It's like an NPC, right? You don't have to stay there. You can become sentient. You can become AI. And you can start actually making some decisions, thinking things through, acquiring knowledge, and making the right decisions time and time again until you're a very successful individual. That is possible for you right now. It is. But again, it's like, think about what he just said. He's like, why do we, these special forces guys, have so much success? And a great thing he brought up when he said it's not a dangerous job. You know what is a dangerous job? If you're a cook and you get thrown into a situation like that because you're the only person around at the time, that's a dangerous job. Same thing with habit formation. Same thing with becoming something in life. If you're just a guy who only sees himself as, again, shout out to factory workers. I got to pick on you because that was when I was at my lowest. So if you're just a factory worker and you get thrown into this position of like you're the only person to run this business right now, you're going to be bumping into walls and not knowing what the hell's going on because you just don't have the skills. That becomes quote unquote dangerous. Let's even take away the word dangerous and say just a low success rate is very much possible, right? Yeah, it really makes you think. Like, I love that breakdown of the 10, 80, 10. You just have to make a decision. You can be honest with yourself. Are you in that 10% that's not going to survive, not going to thrive in life? And if you are you prepared to shift your awareness to become part of that 80% that is where it's like 50-50 for you? And then from there, are you willing to shift, even more so than shift your perspective, willing to shed off whatever needs to be shed off from you so you can become part of that 10% that's going to survive and thrive in life? And if you are in that 80% already, are you going to make the strides that it takes to become part of that 10% that survives? And if you're in that 10% already, and you're already making those great decisions, and you're already making those big moves, and you're already having a high success rate, good for you. I mean, turn back and help out some of that 80%. You know what I mean? Load some more people into the boat. The ones who are ready, the ones who will be useful, right? I don't know. It's just learning so much from Mike Glover in this. Again, check out this podcast. The links are in the description. It's absolutely amazing, the stuff that he starts touching on and all the things that he's learned in trying to figure out how to teach people resilience. It's just, yeah, there's so much to be gleaned from this person. Oh, my vocabulary is getting bigger as I do these videos. But yeah, so much to learn. Links in the description, link to the podcast, link to Mike Glover's YouTube channel. Yeah, and that's it. I'm out. Make sure you survive. Make sure you thrive. Get out of that 10%, move into that 80%, and then get into that 10%.